Hey dudes, on this episode of PDubs Arcade Loft, we're going to take a look at the Super Console X Android box. Is this a good solution for your AtGames Legends Ultimate? Alright guys, as we get everything unboxed here, it's important to note that this is one of those Chinese Android boxes that are running EMU ELEC, has an S905 quad-core 1.5 gigahertz chip that also has 1 gigabyte RAM. This thing does have enough power on it to run MAME Games, 8-bit, 16-bit console games, Game Boy DS, PlayStation 1, Game Boy Advance, all those systems running, of course, at 60 frames per second. Of course, it can run some N64 and Dreamcast games at 60 frames per second, but not all of them. But when it comes to PlayStation 1, Game Boy Advance, DS, and of course any of the 8-bit, 16-bit consoles, as well as your MAME games, you're not going to have any issues with performance. This thing does come with two fairly cheap PlayStation clone controllers. We're really not going to need those, and of course an instruction booklet if you did want to play this on the TV. But all that stuff we're going to throw to the side. This white box here, this is all we need if we're going to consider using this with our AtGames Legends Ultimate. Inside the box is going to be our power supply. We're going to need that. Also, we have a USB hub for plugging in the dongles for the wireless controllers included with the Console X, but guess what? We're not going to need that. Let's pitch that to the side. Of course, inside is our Super Console X console, so we're going to need this, of course. Quick tour of the device. Of course, right there we have our HDMI port, as well as the plug for an Ethernet, as well as a headphone jack, as well as a plug for the AC adapter power supply, and on the other side are our USB ports for our controllers. The only item you'll need to source for yourself is a male-to-male USB cable to get this working on your Legends Ultimate. This one I just took. I borrowed it from my Legends Gamer Mini, just a male-to-male USB 2.0 cable. And the last thing we need is our HDMI cable that came with the Super Console X. That's all we need right here to get this up and running on the Legends Ultimate. Whether you have a 1.1 or a 1.0, this console will be compatible with either versions of those Legends Ultimate arcade cabinets. No, this is not compatible with the Gamer Pro or Gamer Minis. First thing we want to do, of course, is plug in our HDMI cable into our left HDMI port on the device, and then, of course, plug that into the Super Console X. After the HDMI port is plugged in, we're going to go ahead and plug in the power supply for the Super Console X into that little AC jack on the device, and of course plug that into the outlet on our wall. We're going to know that it's up and running because there's going to be a cute little green light right there on the front of the device. That way you know your power's on. And of course, for the sake of the tutorial, we're just showing you how to get this wired up to the cabinet. You could always clean this up and permanently mount things and hide the wire. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and plug in one of the sides of the male-to-male USB cable that you had to source on your own. We're going to plug this into the Super Console X, but we're not going to plug it into the Legends Ultimate cabinet just yet. Now, for the best experience possible, you're going to want to be on the latest firmwares that have the most up-to-date OTG settings and menus and things. Taking a look here, it gives you the instructions on the latest firmwares. Connect your HDMI. We've already done that. At this point, you can go ahead and plug in your USB into the leftmost USB port on the arcade. After you do that, you're going to want to hit the HDMI button. If you're on the 1.0 cabinet like me, you're going to have to hit the HDMI button twice to flip over to your Super Console X. Right here, I hit it once, and I'm going to have to hit it one more time. Once you're on the correct HDMI port, you'll see it says 2 gamepads detected. It's detecting the Player 1 and Player 2 controls on the AtGames Legends Ultimate control deck. All you have to do is hold down to Player 1A or Player 2A. You'll see it's at AtGames Legends Ultimate. You'll see it says Gamepad 1 because we're configuring the Player 1 side, and you just follow the on-screen prompts much like a Raspberry Pi. Obviously, we're going to be wanting to play a lot of the D-pad games included, so we want to use our joystick for up, down, left, right on the D-pad. We want to use start and rewind as start and select. We want to go ahead and enter our button assignments. Now, right here, guys, the choice is up to you. You can do whatever you want, A, B, X, Y, and then, of course, use your Z and C buttons as your shoulder buttons, and any duplicate buttons, especially the analog stick buttons, just hold down any button. It'll say not defined and skip it. And for our hotkey button at the end, we want to go ahead and use the menu button because we already used rewind for select. So let's make sure we use our menu button as our hotkey button. And from here, you can just hit the A button to dismiss, hit the B button to back out, or you can go down, navigate down the back, and hit the B button from here, and you're at the main menu. It's time to play some games. Switching over to our capture card, we're now capturing our screen from the AtGames Legends Ultimate. You'll notice that the Super Console X, if you caught it there, comes with 41,000 games built in. One of the reasons to potentially consider using this device is you don't have to go hunting and downloading and uploading and trying to figure out how to set up USB drives or Raspberry Pis or things of that nature. Everything is pre-built for you. And, you know, there's thousands upon thousands of games here. Tons of Game Boy games, Sega, and of course what excites me the most is you have about 2,000 MAME arcade games, all your console games, couple hundred Nintendo 64, your DS games, your Neo Geo games. There's a ton of stuff on here. And most of it runs really, really well. But then again, I haven't had the chance to test all 41,000 games. I've had several games crash on me, and I've had several games launch and run without issues. So it's hot and cold. The user interface isn't that pretty. It's pretty basic, kind of looks like a basic Raspberry Pi type image. And of course, it doesn't have any kind of active wheels or backgrounds or music, nothing in the menus. You do get a little bit of animated scenes on some games. You'll notice some games will crash, like this is Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal Kombat 3 crashes, but then again, Mortal Kombat 1 launches without an issue. You can tell definitely that the folks who developed this console, they probably, I would have to say, borrowed a lot of work from other folks when it comes to the ROMs and the screens and the bezels and things of that nature. Some of them are decent, like this Mortal Kombat 1, kind of decent. A lot of them are very, very plain, just a picture of the console on the bezel. Every time you fire up a game, you'll see in the bottom left that it's reading the AtGames control deck and that your controls are going to work with that particular game. This is the classic X-Men game. What I've noticed with a lot of the games on here, I don't know how this is possible, but a lot of the MAME arcade games and things like that do have some kind of smoothing effect on the pixels. They definitely don't look as sharp as they do on our CoinOpsX builds and things like that, using original ROMs without any kind of bilinear filtering. When it comes to your trackball and spinner games, the trackball and spinner are not compatible with the Super Console X system, so when playing those games, you're going to have to use your joystick. That's another negative Nancy on using this as a solution. If you're not really into trackball and spinner games, this might be a good solution for you, especially if you just like playing like your beat-em-ups and your running gunners and your fighting games and things like that. Everything plays really, really well. Again, just got a little bit of a smoothing effect here is what I'm seeing on like all of these MAME games. Not as big of a smoothing effect on the console games. And of course, this thing is loaded with console games. Thousands of Nintendo and Sega games. So if you're the kind of person that wants to play that stuff on an arcade machine, this could be a quick fix for you. But as you guys know, I always prefer my arcade stuff over console stuff any day of the week. That's just how I'm built, baby. Now, this thing does retail for about $100, $125. They have several versions on Amazon, AliExpress, and all that. I'll have a couple links in the video description below if you're interested in this. In my opinion, the CoinOpsX builds and the ability, the AddOnX, and all that stuff are better solutions on your AtGames Legends Ultimate. You're just plugging in a USB drive. And of course, those can be customized and made to look a lot prettier than this. No smoothing effects on any of the games. Our CoinOpsX community, our chefs of sauce, have done an amazing job in putting stuff together that honestly looks a little bit better than this, but pretty much plays the same because these games do run really, really well on the Super Console X. However, there are people out there, Mac users and others, who even downloading CoinOpsX and putting that on a flash drive is a little bit difficult and out of reach for them. So to have the ability to have a plug-and-play solution, well, here's one for you if you're interested. In my opinion, I'd rather play CoinOpsX than Super Console X, but just wanted you guys to be aware of your options. Give us a thumbs up on the way out, leave your comments below, and thank you for subscribing.